something about our program that I would like to say, right up front. It's not a cooking class. It's not a home ec class. It's a culinary arts program where you're going to learn more than just how to cut, how to bake, how to cook. You're going to learn as much of the restaurant industry as possible in the 2 years you would be with us. Not only the back of the house, but the front of the house. Something to keep in mind, if you feel like you want, like Des is one person, we just were talking about it. Des mentioned that she wanted to open up a business. Ms. Daly wanted to open up a restaurant. If you open up a restaurant and only know how to cook and you don't know anything about the front of the house, management, people skills, your communication skills, POS, working on with a POS system, you have to hire somebody. And then that somebody you hire better know what they're doing, because anything they tell you, you're going to have to believe. So in our program, we're going to teach you front and back of the house so that you will get an overall understanding of the restaurant industry. Ms. Daly's going to take over and talk about some of what she's talking about, creative cuisine, and some of the things you might learn or do in the program. So take over.
So one of the courses that we have is contemporary cuisine. And this is one of the slides. We did homemade pasta when we worked on Italy. We do different menus, like Mrs. Kish said earlier, I'm not sure on this one, but you can find our menu on the TCTZ website. And that is the cafe's menu. And then we do additional specials and days where we just create and eat. And then if anyone's familiar with Chopped, anyone familiar with Chopped?
The show Chopped?
Yes.
Yeah, I watch it almost every night.
Right, so we do those. We do Chopped days where everybody gets some ingredients, they team up, and then they're free to create whatever they can come up with. Dining room, Mr. A talked about. I believe Des, myself, and Chef Thomas all came into the program. There's a span of years between all of us, but we came in saying, we want to be in the kitchen and only the kitchen. I know my exact words were something like, I'm a waitress. I don't need to be out here, I think is what Mr. A usually tells the students that come through.
You didn't say it that nicely.
I think I did, but he says otherwise. No. So, I mean, but I ended up being out here, and Mr. A will tell you that the role of general manager was created for me, and I ran the front of the house and spent the rest of the time out here and went on to owning my own business. So
Miss Daly does also not give herself enough credit. I don't know if you guys have ever heard about Breakfast at Tiffany's, but that is her restaurant. So if any of you have been there, she's the most important person out there. So
Really?
Thank you. And to give some credit to the program itself in general, I've hired several students from the program in the last 7 years to come through. And one of the students actually runs my restaurant now that I teach full time. So you really can leave here and pursue the industry or use what you've learned to work your way through college, serving or cooking in a kitchen. Anyone? Des, did you talk yet?
No, ma'am.
Would you like to?
I guess so. All right, well, I was a former student of Miss Daly and Mr. A. I was one of the students that Miss Daly had hired to come and work in the restaurant for her. I was strictly a back of the house person in school, most definitely. And to my surprise, so I decided to move to Florida here in July. 3 days later, I landed a serving job here. Taking in the restaurant, it's not restaurant services anymore, it's culinary arts. The culinary arts program will give you a certification. It's called your Serve Safe. With that, you can go just about anywhere. So whether you decide to go to school and learn more about culinary, or you want to be hands-on learning in it, like Miss Daly had said, I want to own. So my way was just hands-on. I have back of the house experience. My grandma owned. I went to it. I went to Culinary Arts to learn more about it. And then I took that, worked for Miss Daly for 2 years, and then decided I was going to move to Florida. That certification helps you just get your foot in the door a little bit. You graduate with your manager certificate. With that being said, there has to at least be one person on staff with a manager certificate at all times. So when you go in with that, it pretty much says, look, I have experience, I know what I'm doing. It really helps you get a foot in the door as to why would they hire you over a random person.
Or somebody that lives in the area and didn't just move there 3 days.
Des, for those, I'm only saying this because when I was going into high school and going to the TCTC, I didn't know what back of house meant. Can you elaborate on back of house and front of house? So if anyone knows what that means.
Your back of the house is your cooks, your sous chefs, your people who like to hide in the kitchen, whether it's on bake or soup or a fry station. That's where you like to be. You don't really socialize with the customers as much, but you work with everyone else. As to the front of the house, that's your waitresses, your front of the house management, your general manager position, or genuinely front of the house people.
Who likes to be in the front or the back? Who's what in here? I see faces. Front of the house, raise your hand. Nice, nice.
All right. Hey.
Wow, that's great. Back of the
Very
house.
good. Very good, Abigail.
You and two.
Very-
I can't see the other one, so I can't. I'm going to say it's a tie. Can somebody break the tie and pick the kitchen?
Me.
You don't count, Mr.
I don't count. Well, I've known that for a year.
Okay, so it's a tie. We'll see next year, I guess.
Hey, something to piggyback on with Dez's comment. When you learn both front and back, it makes you more valuable to your next employer. If you can do both front and the back, if things are slow in the back, you work out front and make tips. Chef Thomas told one class he worked somewhere where he was making $23 an hour because he was working out front. That's not bad money. Never going to make that in the kitchen unless, well, I don't know if you can. I shouldn't say that though. You can make good.
My manager.
You can make good.
Yes,
It is.
you can.
Just remember, it's very hot in the kitchen. Ugh, very hot.
He's
But
trying to.
it is good to learn both areas, front and
Yeah,
back,
it is.
because you can, especially if you decide to go on to culinary school or college or just in the industry.
If you sorry, Mr.
Go ahead. No, I'm
If
done.
you decide, so there's people that join the program that have never cooked before. They don't hate food. They just want to learn more about it, whether they want to go on to nutrition or health science, whatever. If you want to own your own restaurant, your own cafe, coffee shop, your own business of any kind, you want to spend some time in the front of the house, because as an owner, you can hide in the kitchen, but your customers want to see your face. They want to see you do what we call table touches, and that you come out of the kitchen, you know, that's Chef Thomas. Why do we have chef coats that have the buttons down like that?
Both sides.
Both sides?
Yeah.
Oh, one button is a male's side. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. So if you own a restaurant and you're coming out of the kitchen and you've been working all night.
Oh. Yeah. You get spots on you. So if I'm stirring a pot of sauce and I get red spots all over me and I got to go out and talk to a table, I'm going to button it the other way to hide the spot.
You just unbutton, rebutton, and you hide all the spots that ended up on your chef coat. So as owners, business owners or management, you have to be comfortable with coming out and talking to the customers, whether it be a compliment or a complaint. So we do encourage people. There are some students that really just want to pursue one spot or the other. We're good with that. We've done that, but we do try to encourage them to try both, so they get both ends of it and they see how they're supposed to handle a situation, front of the house and back of the house.
We have a young lady right now, Isabel, who did not want to be in the front of the house. And we've only been in school, what, about 12, 14 weeks now?
17.
And not 17, well, seems like it's been shorter because it's been fun.
It has.
It has. Where I'm going with this is Miss Daly and I both thought Isabel would not want to be in the front of the house for a few reasons. I asked her if she would come out front. Her answer was, I need to strengthen my people skills, my communication skills. I'd love to.
Mm-hmm.
She dove in the deep end and she's been fantastic. If we were back in school, I really believe I could have Isabel within, and she's only a junior, probably within a week or two, if we were still in school, running the restaurant. And when you run the restaurant, you are the person that has to schedule people to wait on tables or carryouts. You help you help the instructors with grades. You actually have input. Now we have a rubric that we grade our customer service on, but you help. It's teaching you as a young adult what owners and managers are looking for, because now you're actually doing that same job. If as while we're talking, if you have any questions, it's a small group. You can either send it via the chat to Ms. Stottlemyre, or we'll get it, or you can just put your hand up and say something if you'd like. You seem to be very quiet, but you seem to be interested.
I do have to say that's the biggest thing that I regret, is not going in the front of the house when
Thank
I
you,
was in school.
Des. And I regret you not coming out.
I
do.
hid in the kitchen for 2 years. Like, I was strictly kitchen. Sometimes I came out, I talked during buffets, or if we had a special event and they wanted students to talk, I would come out and talk. But I wish I learned how to serve when I was in school.
And it is, guys, ladies, and gentlemen, it is more than learning to serve. But Des makes a good point. You become more comfortable, and when you become comfortable at something, you excel at it.
Thomas, have you talked yet?
I didn't know.
Oh, yeah.
Almost, Tony, almost. Thank you, Abigail.
I was a graduate of 2011, and I decided to continue my education and go into culinary school. That's not something you have to do. You can learn the skills you need to learn from the TCTC itself. But I decided to continue my education and go into culinary school, which is an option that you can choose as well. But the restaurant industry really has different avenues that you can take. When I got out of culinary school, I went to a resort, 5-star resort, because I wanted to experience the fine dining and the resort setting. And then when I moved back to the area, I worked at Leo's in Warren, and I learned the catering and the outdoor catering and the weddings and banquets and restaurant scene there. And then I wanted to learn a little bit about the healthcare side of things, and I went with Cura Hospitality and learned the healthcare side of it as a sous chef, and then worked my way to an executive chef, and now recently as the food service director. So you can work your way up, and you can learn all kinds of different avenues and things like that. Now, we talked about front of house and back of house, but that's not all the aspects in the industry either. If you continue your education into culinary school, then you start learning about restaurant marketing and things like that. And I will say, I didn't have the privilege of having Miss Daly as an instructor when I was at the TCTC, but I had her as a sub. And when I was in culinary school, I don't know if she remembers this, I took a restaurant marketing class, and I needed to build a business proposal, and I needed to go to a business and interview them, and I needed to have a list of things. And the list of things they gave us is what a successful business should have. And it was a mission statement, and it was a marketing plan, and it was all these things. And I went to Ms. Daly, and she gave me every single one of those things on that list. So you'll be able to learn a lot from Ms. Daly when it comes to a successful business in the industry. And she'll be able to teach you a lot of different things when it comes to food.
Thank you for that. So I did graduate from this program, and Mr. Antonucci was my teacher in 1999. So you're talking to 3 graduates of this program, 1999, 2011, and 2018. Right?
19.
19? Okay, sorry, Des.
Yeah.
All that had Mr. Antonucci.
Pardon me?
I said all of us had you.
Yeah, all of us
And
We learned all our skills from you.
listen, can everybody shut off their cell phone? I'm very proud of all 3 of them. They have, when I look back on my career, those are three people that I'll always remember, and it makes doing what we do worth it.
And as
Won't hear-
Tony, go ahead. I'm sorry, Mr. A.
No, I'm done. I'm done.
So Tony said, you know, he did pursue college. I went straight into industry, and Des is in between. So she's thinking about taking some business classes once she, you know, is done spending time at the beach in Florida where she works.
I work on the beach.
So you can or cannot pursue, you can become successful no matter what if you put hard work into it. So yeah. Any questions now?
Something that when you're in our industry, and again, I don't want to in front of the house, back of the house, it's all together to be successful, as long as you learn a little bit of each. You can go anywhere in this country. Everybody's eating. And as soon as this pandemic's over and restaurants start opening up, they're going to be looking for a lot of people. And it's something that you, like Chef Thomas said, you can go anywhere you want. And as long as you can show that you want to learn, that you're willing to learn, you're going to be doing that with us for a couple of years. Owners and chefs will take you in and teach you. I just want to reiterate what Chef Thomas said. You don't have to go to culinary school to become a chef. It gives you a head start maybe, but if you find a chef, maybe Mr. Chef Thomas would be the chef you'd find to teach you to be a chef, but they will walk you through. You can learn in this industry. It's one of the industries where going to the next level in education is going to help, but it's also the type of industry where if you don't go to the next level as far as education, you can learn it from a chef themselves. And it's wonderful hearing Chef Thomas say that, because Chef Thomas did go to culinary school. So that should validate what he's saying to you all, that, you know, you can get this skills and this knowledge, this education for 2 years, and then make your decision if you want to go farther. He made a decision to go farther in education, culinary school. Ms. Daly decided to go into the business and then ended up buying the business. And I'm not going to bore you with the big story of her.
It wasn't that easy. I don't want people to think it was that easy. So
No, it wasn't easy.
Right. Yeah. It wasn't. I didn't just graduate and then, sorry, Mr. A, and then go into owning my business. I was 23 when I bought my business. And that
doesn't happen a lot.
For another time. But I started working when I was 13 and a half years old at Diggins on Mecca Square, if anyone's familiar with Mecca. Yeah. So I wasn't able to go to college because I grew up and my mom was single and it was just us, and I knew it wasn't a possibility for me. So I just graduated and worked hard, and, you know, to be continued with the story on how I was able to buy my restaurant at 23.
We'll tell you the rest of that story when you take the program.
Join the program.
Right. When you sign up, you get the rest of the story.
The secret to success. So there is a certain amount of students that are accepted into, I don't know about other programs, but ours in particular. So we have X amount of juniors now. They'll be moving into the senior year. That only allows for so many juniors, incoming juniors.
Oh, you know what? Go ahead. Finish, Tiff.
I was just going to say, if this is something you're leaning towards, then get your application in, register, apply, all of that, get that done.